I suppose I'm saying good morning to everybody and nobody's here really, so good morning, you guys. We kind of forgot Scott was driving this morning, so we were all sitting here waiting for him, and we decided to just go ahead and do it because he's driving.
We
Yeah,
hijacked his
I
show.
rolled over and went back to sleep.
All right, let's go again. So how's everybody today besides tired? Got a lively group here this morning. Are you still in Laughlin, John?
But yeah, we're here 5 weeks.
Oh, 5 weeks. Wow.
I am going to meet up with that Chris kid and his wife.
Yeah, they're good people.
Are they
really
local?
They're about. He said he's about 40 minutes from here. He said it
Oh,
in my video last night. I was like, dude, I'm coming down.
cool.
Yeah,
Because
we
I was
got
like,
to. Go ahead, John.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we got to meet them at ASD. We just happened to run into them. We didn't know who they were, and just good people, really good people.
Yeah, where I'm at, I can look across the river and see Arizona. And I'm 15, 20 minutes from California.
Just don't go any closer.
Well, Jason's giving away tickets to the Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Oh, cool.
I used to love them when I was growing up, and I was like, and then I looked, it's in San Diego, and I'm like, screw that, I'm not going. I'm not coming home with a Prius.
I almost did when I went to California. It's just something. What
Yeah,
happens?
you'd probably been better off in that freaking rat car you got.
Oh, I love my Kia now. So much so that I bought my wife one that looks identical to mine.
Rat car. Yeah, the commercial where the rat gets out of
Yeah,
it.
isn't it a hamster?
Oh, I don't remember
Man,
those commercials.
you could put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. It's a rat.
Oh, there you are. Okay. I was trying to find your live stream so I could.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Here it is. Found it. All right. So I could get the chat.
Anybody
Really,
saying anything in the
really
chat?
dorm room games. You can fit a lot of RA in a Prius. A lot, maybe.
I don't know. Steve and Steph have a Prius, and they get quite a bit of stuff in that car.
I don't think you're allowed to do RA in California. I think it's against one of their many laws that they have there.
Yeah,
I see.
Bluegrass.
Craig's.
I'm getting really excited to go to Nashville too.
I know my wife is already out in the living room making plans. So. I got something for.
It's the 20, like 10 days.
Yeah. I see Craig the Landshark Picker is in the chat, and I got something for him. Let me see.
Oh, cool! Oh, that's really cool.
I guess it's cool. Some sort of lager ale.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found it at the Goodwill. I saw it. So now that gives me a new appreciation for his name.
Okay.
I just remember Landshark from Saturday Night Live.
Me too.
Yeah, that was great stuff.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so I decided that I had to clean out. And I mean, I have done it before, like half, you know what. And I have been 2 days cleaning out. And I sold, if you want to call it a Gaylord, it wasn't quite that big, but it was pretty big, of toys to a local lady that sells on Facebook Marketplace and stuff. I sold some stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I've thrown stuff out. I've cut up boxes. I took everything from my eBay area, which is the other end of my basement, outside on Sunday, bucket after bucket, and went through everything. And it was hot. And like halfway through the day, my husband was like, almost finished. I had at the beginning that squirrel thing, like take this, I'm going to put this over here, or do this. And then I'd get going on something else. And I felt like I was going nowhere. But I just said, I absolutely have to do this before fourth quarter. I have to get this place cleaned out because my space in the basement was going narrower and narrower. So I just ended up, my son came by in the afternoon and I had him read off everything I have listed in. I tried to print off a list and it just came out weird. And anyway, I just had him read off everything to make sure I had everything, that I have listed in a certain place. Got that all done. And once that got finished, I felt like I got rolling a little bit better. And oh my gosh, I last night I had gone upstairs, I came down and turned that corner and it was like, oh, it felt so good. I mean, I know you cleaned out your area, Steve, didn't you? Before you had the garage sale?
Yeah. Yeah.
Filling up again? Is that what
Oh
you're
yeah. You can't see off camera over here on this side, and the inventory room is fairly organized now, but in here it's not.
Well, I got that half done now. Almost finished. And I told Carla we're not starting in here at all until that half's cleaned out, and then we can move a little bit out there and work on this room. Well, I have a big shipment that needs to go out today. That's what we're going to work on today. Then once that shipment's out, we'll finish up in here.
You got
But
to
I
stop
just
saying we.
have to stop saying we. Oh, okay. She'll finish up.
They need to finish.
But once that's done, I mean, I feel like you, John, that I mean, get that over with, and then I can really pass a lot of stuff on. Because you couldn't even move in here to do a shipment normally. My rack that we used to roll around the room and work on the shipments with is full of crap. And I told her she needs to make me this big sign because now in my eBay area I have shelving. So this shelving on this side is all my buckets of listed. Then down here in this rack is all my buckets of not listed yet. And then I have a shelf that's supposed to be for shipping. And I had even gotten a second scale. My Dymo 4XL is over there, whatever. But little by little, I started putting stuff on that shelf. So I made a big sign that says, no shit goes here. I can't put something down there and leave it there because that's got to stay open for Carla to do my shipping.
It's
So
amazing when you put somebody in a move your warehouse to another state. You never see
yeah,
any of it.
well, that would be nice. I really would. So that's what I'm working on, and I mean, I would love to be out shopping, but those last 2 days, I would have loved to have been out shopping, but I just feel like sometimes you just have to stop and get some things done, and then you got a place to put new stuff, and I also have a couple bins that I'm sending to Pat the reseller for the thrift shop. I have a couple hundred t-shirts. I used to go to music festivals and motorcycle shows and RV shows and stuff and sell these t-shirts. And I gave it up a couple of years ago, but the t-shirts have been sitting there and it's like, oh, I'll do one more gun show locally or something and just blow them out. And no pun intended, blow them out at the gun show. But anyway, I just never do it. So I asked Pat for his address and I'm going to ship those out to him today. Carla's shipping those out. I got a list of stuff for her to do today. So, yeah, I'm just excited to just be able to breathe down here again.
I'm still not ready to breathe, not in this room. I spent all day yesterday catching up on, because, when you take some time off, especially like, we went to Vegas and I came back and I looked at the pile and it's taken me how long's it been? It's been a week or two. And just looking at that pile just drove me nuts and I couldn't start. So finally yesterday I sat down and I listed probably 30 or 40 items and got a lot of it out. But yeah, catching up is no fun. So we tend to get it all done. Like if I go to a yard sale, it's usually done by by the weekend and it's all listed and everything. So I don't usually have a death pile, but been getting so much inventory in lately that now I do, So now I got to go. And then I took a whole week off. Now she did list a few things, but she's new to listing. So it wasn't, she couldn't, do a whole bunch, but she did it. I mean, she was amazing shipping and stuff. She did really well there, but she doesn't know how to list real well yet. So now I got to catch up, and that's what we're going to do today is list all day. So for eBay anyway, Amazon. And then I had that big order from ASD, and it arrived like 2 days after I got back. So I have to go through. I processed half of that now, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Processing 500 items. And then I had some stuff that I went to Akron and we did some RA, so I got all that yet to do, and it's
Yeah,
very
I mean, it's again, trying to do both of them is, you know, I concentrate on one and get that going real well, then concentrate on the other, and one seems to drop off. But
I
I
delegated some stuff yesterday,
good. Well,
and
I'm
then went
getting
and
to the
played
point
poker.
where
And
I'm
then
getting
went
to
and
the
played
point where
poker.
I'm getting to the point where I think delegation is a great idea. Didn't ever want to do it before, but when we were at ASD and my wife was doing the shipping, I'm like, huh, I don't even have to worry about that. That was nice,
mm,
So, and then I think Wade did a video on that Sale Hound or whatever it is, where they list for you. You give them some pictures. Now, I probably wouldn't use them, but that's like hiring a VA right there. I mean, it's the same thing. And he did a whole demonstration. It was really good at how he actually. I love the way he did his video because he didn't just do it. This is how you sign up, and this. He did it over several days, and it was really cool the way he did it, showing you how the whole process worked. But it makes sense to delegate stuff out if you can, especially when you start getting bigger, like your size, especially Sue. I mean, you're not John's size, but you're getting bigger, and so am I. And I'm like, oh, sheesh, it's a drag.
Catching up, Steve?
What's that?
Are you catching up to the belly?
Not that kind of bigger.
Oh,
Actually, I eat and eat and eat, and I can't figure out why I can't gain any weight, but I don't lose any
yeah, I know
either.
I hate you for a reason.
yeah, I wouldn't say that out loud, Steve. You'd make a lot of people jealous.
But it's not. I always think there's something wrong with me because I stay the same weight all the time. So it's
I
crazy.
walked by a freaking McDonald's yesterday and put on 5 pounds.
I see you're trying to do some more walking and stuff. That's good. It's good.
I did 13,000 steps yesterday.
That's a lot.
I did
I want to get up.
13.
I want to get up to 25,000.
And was that out in the heat, all of it, John?
Yeah.
Whew. What's the temperature
I
there yesterday?
one. I think it hit 110. It's supposed to be 115 today.
Oh man, that's hot.
That's the one thing I didn't like about being out there. I'm from Ohio and Pennsylvania. We don't get that. I mean, once a year we might hit 100, and
You
it's
know, I don't think we hit 100 this year. It hasn't been that hot of a summer here.
it
I,
has
I
it
gotta be
actually has.
honest. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to it. I mean, I'm a. I used to love the cold weather, except for now my bones hurt.
Mm,
When it gets cold, my bones hurt. I mean, especially my hands. I can barely close them in the cold. So, 70, 80 is where but this heat out here is a dry, I know it's a dry heat. Stick your head in a freaking oven, it's still hot.
right.
Um, but I feel like I'm getting used to it a little bit. The one thing is you got to drink a lot. If you don't drink out here, your joints swell up. My
Mm,
ankles swell up if I don't drink enough water. Um, I don't know. I enjoy it. I do. It's beautiful here. Um, there's a river, the Colorado River. Have you seen my video yesterday? We went
yeah.
to the pool. The Colorado River is gorgeous. It's crystal clear. Um, and there's jet skis and boats running up and down all day long. There's a lot of activity. I'm just trying to get away from work. I really am. I work so much, and it's like drinking to me. It's something I find myself doing all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can definitely work too much, even if and everybody's too much is different, but
And I think that it's hard to. That's one of the hard things about working from home is, oh, I'll just run down and check on this and do this, and all of a sudden it's midnight and I'm still working. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
3 hours
also,
go by.
I guess if you want to call it a problem, it's also a problem when you love it so much because it doesn't feel like it's not a grind like, oh, I got to go to work. I mean, I just enjoy it so much. But my husband asked me Sunday or Saturday night or something about Sunday, and I was like, well, I'm going to be working on cleaning the basement and blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, I thought we could do whatever. And I was like, well, I can pick a day, plan it next week, and I'll take the day off. So that's
Let me
another
check.
nice thing.
Let me check my schedule.
Well, I mean, that's another nice thing. If he tells me ahead of time, but I don't want to just, go to lunch. I mean, if I'm going to take the day off, I want to do something. So, that's the
Shopping.
good. Well, I mean, here's the thing. No matter where we go or what we do on the way home, I'm sure I'll stop at a couple places. And then he'll say to me, where do you want to stop on the way home? And then he'll say, not too many stores, or he'll tell me this is the last store or whatever. But he did tell me, I know, I think I mentioned this before, but when I was out on my last trip, I had sent him a couple texts. I try to let him know where I am along the way driving home. And I said something about this is my last store, and then I'm heading straight home. He goes, that's going to be on your gravestone. This is my last store. He says I say it over and over, but I really don't. I say a few more stores. I usually don't say, well, once in a while I see something after the last store, but it is what it is.
I guess for me, if I was doing physical work, it'd be easier to say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's true too, because you can do it from your phone, from your laptop, from any room in the house, from
But
anywhere you are.
what I'm doing is a lot of mental and a lot of written
Mm-hmm.
for whether it be systems or processes or instructions I'm sending to somebody. Alejandro's a lot of text,
Mm-hmm.
so if it
Let me
was, go ahead.
let me ask you this, John. I got 2 resumes yesterday,
Yeah,
and I feel like they're way overqualified.
they
Like
they they, they send you
like one
the people are way overqualified. Every time I've gotten somebody from there, they've been way overqualified.
and so I mean, in my past life as a manager, I would feel like my stuff would be too boring and simple for somebody who can do the stuff that these guys can do.
I hired the guy that does the video editing for me is an expert at website building.
Mhm.
An expert. That's his forte is to build websites and Shopify stores and stuff like that. And I picked him up to edit the videos, which he, as you see, he's very good at.
Yeah.
Um, because eventually I want to get into websites and Shopify. Now I have somebody that I can, these guys want the work.
Okay.
These aren't Americans.
I
These
understand that. I
they don't
do.
want to they don't want to sit on their ass. They want to work. So sometimes they'll take a job they're a little less qualified for, hoping that you know, build up to what they do.
Mhm.
And especially with a general VA, your first one being a general VA, if they have a lot of talents that you see yourself growing into, snatch them up because then you can teach them your systems and processes and have them teach others.
Right.
And then you have two people trained for the same job. And if one leaves, you have another one to fall back on.
That's a good thought too.
I mean, that's how I'm doing it. I'm looking to have a team of probably 10 to 12 VAs at one point, doing all the computer work, and that's how I'm doing it. I'm building it out. We add people for their skill sets, and Alejandro was overqualified for the job,
Mhm.
way overqualified, but he's fit into a nice little role, and he's getting well paid, and he's very happy in the role he's in. I mean, these people are much different than working with Americans.
Mhm.
Most Americans go to work and say they're underpaid, overworked. You know, these guys come to work happy. They leave happy. They'll bend over backwards to help you. That's what you need.
Yeah.
If I could get an American like that, I'd hire him. It's not about money. It's I don't go overseas to be cheap. It's the talent that's available in the workforce. Is horrible. This next generation's in trouble as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to turn this into political, but I think this next generation is in a lot of trouble
Hmm.
because it, for the for the most part, you don't see people doing anything. That's like as a kid, my dad said, "Oh, you want something? Here's a
Hmm.
lawnmower."
Yeah.
At
Well,
the end of the day, you pay me $5 rent for that lawnmower. Now
even
you got freaking entire companies cutting grass.
yeah,
Kids don't cut grass no more. It's freaking adults cutting grass.
I noticed a big difference. Like I want to say, the time just flies. Probably 20 years ago. So I worked in retail management, and every year at Christmas, I hired a lot of college students, and some of them were the same ones that came back, every season. And and at a certain point, it was like I couldn't get a college student, and we live in a college town. I mean, literally, the mall where my number one store was 5 minutes from the mall. And at a certain point, I couldn't get college students anymore. And I don't know what happened. Like they came home for Christmas and they didn't work. They just. And then when I moved up to California, I went to work for a moving company out there, and I would put ads out for admin work at the office.
Yeah, the first problem there was you were in California.
Yeah, I know. But I would get resumes. First of all, I wish so bad I had saved some of these resumes and made a book out of it, because I
Hmm.
would post them on Facebook, not with their name or anything, just things that people said in the on their resume. Like I I am great at attention to detail or whatever, and they spelled it wrong. I mean, just some of the funniest things. Or people would tell me, their hobby was ballet class or something. Like I could care less
Ooh,
about their
that's a
hobby.
great hobby.
I know. But there was just a lot of funny things. But I would see these resumes of people, and they'd have two college degrees, and they had had like one job at Starbucks or something. I mean, I worked from the time I was 10. I babysat, I delivered newspapers, you know, and my kids were the same way. If they wanted something, they had to work for it. I mean, my kids had to buy their own cars, which was really unusual. The school that they went to, a lot of parents bought them a car as soon as they were 16. And so I see that same trend. I don't understand college students who don't have a side job or whatever.
They're entitled. Their parents teach them that they're freaking entitled. You're
Hmm.
entitled to a break. You worked hard at school. You get 3 months. You get 6 weeks off because you're entitled to it. Get the
Oh,
freak out of here.
two
Get
hip
a job.
chicks says they're day trading now. So
Yeah,
maybe
no, they're not day trading. They're entitled. Mommy and daddy feeds them.
But then you got the flip side too. You got young people like Chris Olvera, who you're going to go visit, who's he's a go getter. He's out there doing something
Yes,
for himself. So you do
I,
have. I mean, there are young people out there who are really out there to do, you know, who were raised correctly.
but I'm
Maybe.
talking about as a generation. I'm not
Yeah,
talking about
yeah, I know.
in general.
individuals.
But I did want to make a point that there are people out there who really try very hard and want to be successful. But overall, you're right. Right. This generation is not that. I grew up on a farm. I didn't have a choice but to work. So there
I
was
found
no fun.
I found a kid yesterday on YouTube, young kid. Well, I, I'm saying kid. She's probably 22. She's a really good artist, and she does all this stuff on YouTube. And then she tells you that you can buy it on her Etsy store. And you go in her Etsy store, and she has a ton of sold stuff. A ton of feedback where she had sold these different paintings and stuff. She's out there hustling. I'm not knocking those people, but there are a lot of people that feel that they're entitled, and their parents' fault. Their parents are the ones saying, "Hey, you're entitled to a break. You worked hard at school. No, you're entitled to go out and get a job to help pay for this college education that you want in freaking zoology or whatever it is."
Here's the thing. I
Sandbox
think that
101.
in today's world, there's just opportunities to make money anywhere and everywhere. I mean, who would have thought the day you could play video games and people pay you to watch you play video games?
How about that freaking dude? What's his name? Pumpkin Pie? No.
PewDiePie.
Pity Pie?
Yeah,
No.
PewDiePie.
PewDiePie, that's him. He's got the most viewers on YouTube.
He did. I
Him
don't know
and
if he's
some
still
Indian,
number one.
him and some Indian are fighting back and forth, and every one of his videos has a some kind of advertisement on it. What kind of money is this guy raking in
Oh, millions.
to
Yeah,
be an idiot on YouTube?
I don't know. I've never seen the show, so I don't.
I've never watched him either.
I know it.
Go watch him. It is absolutely stupid. I said, okay, I've heard his name a few times in different videos. I gotta watch him. I gotta see this.
No. I'll pass.
Well, the other
And
thing,
then
little kids just opening packages of toys, and
Look at that Ryan. He's
Yeah,
got a whole line of his own toys.
he has a whole line of toys, and he just started off. I don't know how he started on YouTube. If it was just opening toys or something, or
That's
reviewing.
it.
But yeah, he has a whole line of toys now. I don't know if they're only at Walmart. I don't know if I've seen them.
No, there are other places too, but Walmart does have exclusives, and I think Target has exclusives and things like that. I don't know if his popularity is still what it was, but I sold some of his stuff last year, so I mean that little kid made me a few bucks, but
Although there's a book on clearance right now, I have no idea if it's selling well or not. But
the new one is that little girl JoJo or something like that. My granddaughter's all about that, but she's a YouTuber.
and then there's some dude that gives money away.
How do I sign up?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about the echo. I don't have headphones that'll
It's
work.
probably me. Let me. I do have
I
headphones.
think his name's Mr. Beast or something. The dude goes and buys a bottle of water from a waitress and leaves a $10,000 tip.
Oh wow! I
But
haven't
you know,
seen
he
that.
has that little advertisement, and he gets a 15 million views on a video.
Wow.
I don't know.
Tell
I'll
me
keep
about
making my money the hard way. I kind of appreciate it more when I'm out here hustling for a buck.
Yeah. Tell us if the echo went away. I did put headphones on. It's usually me because of the way I have my stereo,
I
my
think it does.
configuration.
For me, it sounds better. Let
Yeah.
us know,
Yeah,
Craig.
it sounds better.
I'm gonna have to
We
situate.
we should change the topic. Sue's going to get a bunch of thumbs down because we're talking about the political party.
Well, you know what though? I mean, it's just cool. I think it's cool that you can get a job doing anything. So when my son turned 15 and he really wanted a job, and he went to different places to try and look for a job, and we were living in outside of Nashville at the time, and most of the places were like, oh, you have to be 16 or you have to be 18. And he really didn't want to work at Publix. That was the only place that, like bag boys could be 15. So he started buying. I never gave him an idea of what to do, and I was not a reseller back then. But he started buying and selling sneakers. And I mean, he wasn't making a fortune or whatever, but he was making money on it. And there were times when they do these new releases of shoes, and he would sit there with his laptop, an hour ahead of time, waiting to press that button, to get a pair of whatever was coming out now. And, he just found his own way and made money on the side doing whatever.
That's a hustle, but
Both my sons are real go-getters, and they're entrepreneurs. I mean, now my one son has a day job, but a lot of side hustle. And then my other son had his own business since college, and did really, really well. And he had 2 or 3 businesses, but then he started selling on Amazon. And it was really not even anything about making money, but he's a big traveler, and it was all about earning points. Like he read about it on one of these point sites or something. And then he was like, hey, I can make money doing this, and started doing it on the side. And then little by little, he dropped all his other businesses because he makes enough. I mean, he's a big seller. So, and then he got me started on it, which got me totally hooked. He's like, I knew you'd like this, Mom.
And the rest is history.
Oh, so Phil was saying check out the crowdfunding videos for new products. They're full of millennials. Well, I guess that's like all the GoFundMe as well. Or no, yeah, is it what's the Kickstarter?
It's Kickstarter, yeah.
My husband has bought 2 or 3
Kickstarter
products.
Now, some of those Kickstarter products are really cool things.
Yeah.
But it's just a new way of raising money to bring a new product to market, which is a pretty brilliant idea, I guess. I wonder how much money Kickstarter actually makes, though.
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
website, I'm sure they're breaking it in. They don't even have to have a product except for a website.
They have a product. It's a website.
It's a website. Yeah, that's their only product. And boy, do they make. And so GoFundMe, the same thing.
Morning,
What's up, Pat?
Good morning.
So we have grumpy and tired and happy and awake.
I gotta go.
What do you mean you gotta go? I came in this.
Oh, there he's gone.
Is that all it takes? Oh, come on now, John.
What's in a name?
I was listening to your message about the millennials getting up and getting off their ass and work, and I said, you know what? He's right. I got to get up and Scott's not here to support you.
Wait, are you saying you're that young, Pat? What is a millennial anyway? Like what
I don't know.
generation is that supposed to be? I think you're past millennial.
Yeah.
Anybody that thinks they're entitled to my frickin' ice cream is a millennial.
Wait, is there a story behind that?
How we doing, guys?
We're
The
good.
name says it all.
I know. I'm happy and awake.
And I'm just
I'm content and sort of awake.
Steve's got some dangerous looking.
Sorry. Oh, they're really pointy. They got me the other day. They're just jeez, I'm so tired I can't even remember what they're
tweezers?
called. There you go.
Is that like when you're working on Game Boys or something?
Yeah, I use them for that, but
Pick the seeds out of weed.
it's I have if there's something to play with on the desk, I play with it under. I usually keep it off camera, but
oh my gosh, there was somebody
it's like a nervous habit.
When Scott used to be on the morning show, there was somebody that used to click a pen, and I was like, Scott, who is clicking that pen? It drives me crazy when I'm listening to it. You didn't know who it was. Anyway,
It wasn't me. I wasn't on the show.
What's everybody doing? I mean, it's 49 days or something like that. It's Q4. Is everybody ready or getting ready? John, we know you're ready. You were ready a month or two ago.
Done. I started shipping in Q4 yesterday. And if you don't think Christmas sells,
Oh, I've sold Christmas this week.
I've sold a ton of Christmas this week. In fact, I sent in stuff and sold out of Christmas.
You know, I actually sold some Christmas stuff last week as well. I guess it's that whole Christmas in July thing, although now it's August. But I'm definitely shipping in Halloween because that's going to start selling pretty quick as well.
That started selling last month.
Well, if you notice, you walk into any store right now, they already got their Halloween decorations out, so they know. I mean, if you did, oh, there goes Pat.
Where did he go? Bye, Pat. See you. I pissed him off. He's gone.
No, I don't know. There he is.
I think I was trying to type something in the chat, and I think I did something.
But if you want to know when to get ready for Q4, watch your local stores. Now,
yeah.
Here's the problem with that, though. They usually are way ahead of you, Yeah. And so they know. I mean, they know the trends. So they already have Halloween out, and it's only August.
You know when I start Christmas?
You started right after Christmas.
Retail in
I
January.
know I start before Christmas. I put my order in for next year's Christmas in November.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in retail, because I would shop the Atlanta Gift Mart in January, and that's when we would buy Christmas. So it was pretty far ahead.
Yeah, I start my orders in November, and it gets here. It just arrived in. I'm gonna say the last 10 days. It arrived from China. You know, you got to think lead times, the prep times. They got to get their machines up, their when you do textiles, you got to get the machines up to speed for the
Mhm.
print. There's a lot in it, and if you wait until the last minute, it- they're gonna they're gonna take over. And it took me time to understand that I needed to start working on Christmas for the following year before Christmas started. I'm done Christmas by mid-January. I'm finished, pretty much finished. I put an order in at ASD this year. I think it was like $1,700 worth of stuff that I picked up last year at ASD that sold really well. And it was like, okay, I went there and they had the same exact thing. So I don't even have to build a listing. All I got to do is send it in. So yeah, I bought that. But other than that, I'm done in January.
I mean, on the other end of it, like I know we have a show. I don't remember if it's end of August, September. There's a small show in Atlanta, and you can go and it's a smaller show, so there's a lot more temporary booths. And I know you were talking, John, about you can buy the booths out in
Mhm.
Las Vegas, and a lot of because I used to work those gift shows, and a lot of the sellers that came to Atlanta, it was kind of like their last show of the year, and they didn't want to pack it up and take it all home, and you could get some really good deals. I mean, back then it was maybe 10 cents on a dollar or 20 cents on a dollar. Now, I know you said that in Vegas, the unions or whatever have to pack it up for you, but here you got to, at least back then, you had to pack it up yourself. So you had to have people to help you do that because you had to be out pretty quick.
I walked in, dropped the American Express, and said, "Ship it to here." Walked away.
So, here you'd have to do that on your own. But so there's opportunities all the time. You just have to be looking out for them. So, Pat, are you going to gear up on Amazon for Q4, or are you just going to
Yeah, yeah, both.
have
Some,
your
yeah. I been doing some storage units, and actually I've pulled some of my dead inventory on Amazon, and the stuff that I have there has been selling. So I I've been selling like out of actually this week I sold several items every day. So I've become better at not just jumping at stuff to kind of really be selective on what I'm sending.
hmm
That was the problem in the beginning, in all honesty. Just kind of going out there, not understanding numbers and rankings and stuff like that, and also be willing to even to lower the price a little bit if you have to, and then some things sit on. I was being pushed by Amazon to lower those oversized tie uh, plushes, and I had got them at a good price, and they kept on telling me to kind of drop them, and I stayed pretty firm, and within 2 weeks I sold like 15 of them. And even these candies that I sent in, I dropped it probably about 75 cents, but now I'm sold out of those. So I've gotten better at it, especially the last month. That's one thing that you really got to stay on top of it, where the prices are at, and
hmm
um, understanding that.
Understanding sales rank and numbers and stuff was the hardest for me too. There's a lot of inventory that there's stuff I shouldn't have bought and sent in when I
Right.
first started, just like
And
you. I mean,
it's amazing. Sometimes even a dollar, dropping something a dollar, it gets to the point where I've noticed sometimes, like you're dropping it, and then someone's going a penny under you. So then you're playing the game. You're going 10 cents under them, and then it finally gets to the point where sometimes, eventually, that kind of stops, and you're both basically at almost the same price. Um, so now it's just a matter. I've been getting my money every 2 weeks from Amazon, and in the last 2 months. I haven't been reinvesting it back into, because car issues. But I haven't. I probably got like $1,200 from Amazon in the last 6 weeks, and I really need to take that money and put it back in towards inventory going into the fourth quarter. A lot of time has been consumed with the properties that I manage, and doing this traveling around. I mean, you guys been paying attention. I was out in Ohio about 3 weeks ago.
didn't come see me. Didn't even tell me.
You refuse to give me your address. You go by a different
You didn't
name
ask.
on Google.
I do not.
I'm just teasing.
I I am about the most transparent person on the internet.
No, I know. I'm busting you. You
No, it's
posted
all right. He'll be back.
you posted a picture of your house with your yard sale, so we can find you.
Oh
And,
yeah,
I mean,
849 Broad Street. I have no problems. Come see me.
this week, a gang is coming out to us now, and we're doing some storage units. And then obviously next week is Nashville, so that's gonna when on my way home from Nashville, I plan on going through Missouri and meeting up with John Johnson for Nevermore Antiques.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so
I would
just
like to do that too, but I don't know if we'll have time.
yeah.
She's got to go back to work.
We went out too and bought my wife a newer car, because the one car has 197,000 miles on it. That same day, then my son comes home and decides to put his car in a ditch. So it's kind of been helping him too. He's I got on here because John was talking about people not, and I do agree with what he's saying, but I don't know if it's just that age group, if it's just a certain mindset of people, because I know with all the employees I had over the years, you get some people too that are stuck. They work into a place 20 or 30 years, and then they have to come and, let's say, work for me. You can't tell them nothing. They know it all, and they don't want to be retrained. And now my son, he just graduated in June for high school, and he already got a $40,000 job for CNC manufacturing, and it's he'll be making 50,000 in 2 years. It's for General Dynamics.
I got to say, there's a lot of young kids out there who are willing to do that. My nephew just graduated high school, immediately went to work for his dad, who's in construction, and is going to school this fall for HVAC. So he's gonna have a good job right out of high school. I mean, he already has a good job right out of high school. His dad has a business, but it's not why. He decided against college. He's a very smart kid, but decided that a trade was better for him and made it happen. He's going to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I never had a job that paid that kind of money. I made it in overtime, but even my 30-year-old son doesn't make that. But my 30-year-old son can't sit still he kind of gets he worries about what everybody else is doing, and he needs to kind of worry more about himself. But he lives out on his own. He has to learn from his own mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the trades. My nephew is a welder, and man, he can work all the overtime he wants. I mean, there's weeks that he works 60 hours a week, or more even. He's done a couple jobs out of town where he worked, I don't know, around the clock. I mean, he worked a lot. But then he's 22, living in the house, gotten into scuba diving, but he's not just throwing his money all around either. I mean, he's a good saver. But you can really make some big money on the trades, and I think, it's not if you want to call it glorified anymore. I mean, I think everybody thinks got to go to college, and there's a lot of trades out there that I think are suffering because people don't want to do those jobs anymore. I mean, plumbers and electricians make a lot of money. I know. I've had to hire them.
Right.
I never had to hire a welder. You could work anywhere you want as a welder.
Understand something. More than half of the wealth, more than half of the people that have $1 million in assets or more work in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Or self-employed in some manner. Most of them are in trades: electrical, carpentry,
asphalt is another.
Asphalt, HAV, HVAC. All these are specialized trades that pay extremely well, and people like me are willing to pay them to do the work instead of learning or figuring out how to do the work.
I was more than happy to pay the guy who came to do my air conditioning. I was more than happy to pay that guy. And if my roof leaked, I'd be more than happy to pay the guy that does the roof, that kind of thing. Because I ain't climbing up there. Ain't no way. I mean, I used to do roofing, but I'm still scared of heights, so I ain't doing it.
I agree. I mean, listen, if a lot of stuff that goes wrong in here, I could fix. I'm at a point in my life where I'd rather pay somebody else that actually knows how to do it, that has the tools, that can get it done, that I can do something else.
Yeah.
These trades are, but we also cycle through this stuff. All of a sudden everybody's going to go into the trades because it's a big deal to make, because it's money. And then in 6 years, 8 years, we're going to be screaming we need teachers because
Yeah.
nobody went into the teacher trade, and nobody went into I don't know what Pat does, and uh,
Instacart. Oh, that's
No, I mean primarily I was
Pat, I'm breaking your chops, dude. I'm
restaurant.
breaking your
I mean, I
chops,
was in
dude.
the restaurant business, and I wish I would have done something else. I'll be honest. Retail's no fun no more. There's just dealing with employees and the competition from large corporations. It's just not. I was a young father, and I didn't have good parents to guide me. And the only thing I really like about this is that it's the freedom. But as far as me. People don't realize it takes capital to do Amazon, um, and it's not hard, but there's still time involved in doing this, um, and it consumes you. I mean, I heard Sue talking about her basement. Well, I'm trying to redo our basement, and so right now the living room and half the kitchen is consumed by trying to make this work. But you make mistakes along the way. I mean, I got a big box of dog bones and stuff over there that I had sent into Amazon that look like you could sell them and they don't. I probably should list them on Marketplace, and even if I just get my money back, I can use that cash to get inventory that's going to sell. Hey Steve, I got a question. How last time I talked to when you were in the car heading to the airport, what was your thoughts on that experience flying and stuff?
Oh my God, it was great. I'll do it again. I'm
Yeah.
ready to do it again. I wonder if we could fly to Nashville.
It's not as bad once you get up in the air.
I enjoyed the entire experience.
Yeah.
Except the frisking at the airport, but
yeah.
I want to go back to something Pat said. Pat said it takes capital in this business. And everybody looks at me and goes, "Wow, man, look at his numbers." I'm going to give you some numbers to give you an idea of what kind of capital it takes to run my company. Only because I seen them this morning, I was kind of dumbfounded by it. I have $306,555 sitting on the shelves of Amazon right now. I have $115,369 on order from different suppliers and vendors. And I have $55,995 in shipments headed to Amazon. Guys, that's almost $500,000. If you think it's easy to run this company or to be in the $1 million bracket, it takes money, and it takes a lot of it. And yes, my numbers are big, but if you look at my checkbook looks like most of yours because the money is in the business. And Pat probably understands that a little more than anybody because of being in the restaurant business. There's a lot of big numbers in the restaurant business. And at the end of the day, after you pay help and food and all the expenses that you have, you're left with very little. So
Yeah,
you got to be careful what you wish for.
Right. It's a little, I mean, it's funny because the topics today, if you watched Harlan and Scott the other day, both those things they were talking about is what we were talking about. You got Harlan that is giving up a little bit on his eBay right now because there's so much overtime and he is busy and he is needed by the company. And then Scott was talking about to get back to $45,000 in sales a month, he needs to feed that. And it takes a lot to go out on the road, and he is his only buyer. So he doesn't have other people helping him, in a sense, get that product. And you hear him talk, when you hear him say, "Oh, I did $500,000." Well, he's traveling 40 states. He's putting a lot of time in. And I mean, he's tired. I know, because when I was heading out to Ohio, I picked up the phone and we talked on the phone for about 40 minutes while he was out driving across the desert. And I know when he stopped up in Pennsylvania too. And people don't realize the effort that he puts in to make just that happen. I know I've met some people that are doing Amazon, to be honest, and they're really busy. And I said to them, why don't you do YouTube? And they say, I don't have time for that.
That's right.
They're YouTube just doesn't. For me, YouTube is more of a social aspect and networking. I'm glad I've done YouTube because I would have never met you guys. Where this guy that I'm talking about, and Scott knows who I'm talking about, is very successful, and he just doesn't need this networking. And as far as the help, I'm doing this. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been following me the last couple of weeks. I've been doing a show on Wednesdays with Jess Hill, and she just hit 800 and some thousand in the last 12 months doing Amazon. And she's been giving me a lot of pointers on what to do. Will I ever be at that level? I doubt it, because she has a husband that has a job that no matter what, if she doesn't make no money, she could still pay her bills. And that's a big difference too.
I gotta say, Pat, you said never say never. I said that, didn't I, John?
Yep.
There's a lot of things I've said never to, but I'm learning now. And I think Scott's even learning that there's certain levels of this business you get to, and then it's just unsustainable. So the RA is very rough for him. So he's starting to think about going into the wholesale, and that's where I'm going. That's what I'm thinking of, because it makes more sense to me. But yeah, never say never, Pat.
Well, when I say Jess Hill level 800, it all depends what you need in your life. I'll probably get to a point, if I make $40,000 or $50,000, I'm happy with that. I don't need, I mean, I was talking to someone the other day that their bills are basically 90 grand a year just to get by. Mine aren't. Mine are only around 35, 40. Yeah, there's things I want to do and stuff like that, but I don't live above a certain lifestyle. And
Me either.
I mean, we just got our first. We have a car payment again, and we haven't had a car payment probably for 8 years. And even that car payment, we didn't go out and buy a brand new car. We bought a car that was 3 years old that had 32,000 miles, and still has all those warranties and stuff like that. And it's good enough. You know what I mean?
What's that? You sound like a smart car buyer. We just did the same thing. Bought my wife a new car, but it wasn't new. It was a year old, actually. But it still has all the warranties. It has the factory warranty, and the place we bought it from has a warranty that they put on it for a year. So it was a no-brainer to buy the one, because the one, we did a lot of research. We didn't just go out and buy a car that looked like mine. I mean, I wasn't. A lot of people might think that because our cars are. She wanted that color, but we did a lot of research before we chose the dealership that we bought it from, just because we got a better car for a cheaper price, even though, it's just the way we did it. But
you know where I bought our car? The internet. And you know how we picked it up? It got delivered on a flatbed for Carvana.
Boy, that's nice.
The price was cheaper. Didn't have to haggle. They did the financing. They delivered it. It was great.
I gotta say, we went to a place called Vanderveer. I think it's a Buick Kia dealership. They have, I know it says Buick and Kia on there. Vanderveer in Akron, Ohio, and I had the most pleasant car buying experience I've ever had. The guy that was there, in fact, he's thinking about doing some reselling on the side. So we talked a lot about that. But just a pleasant guy. The whole experience was pleasant. They were a no haggle dealership. So because of that, we got the car for the price that we knew what it was worth, instead of having to do all that haggling.
Right, and then go back and forth. You know where the car was delivered? At the UPS store in our town. I said, instead of coming down the narrow driveway, I said, meet us up at the UPS. And
Pat got his car delivered by UPS.
and I actually videotaped it being unloaded, and we got a great deal. And my wife is happy with it. It's all-wheel drive. It's all leather inside. It's got all the. I like. And Scott, when I hung out with Scott those 2 days, the backup camera.
Oh yeah. I don't have one of those.
So many places, because even people, especially at Walmart, you're going there. How many times you'll have your brake lights on, and people still will walk close to the car and walk behind it. It's a nice feature.
I'm gonna have a hard time not buying a new car this year. I want that new Corvette. I'm not gonna lie. I want that 2020.
Go from a Fiat to a Corvette. That's quite a change there, John.
From my Fiat?
Yeah.
Well, I won't take it. I wouldn't keep it behind the RV. I would put it
Yeah.
in Florida. I would put it in storage in Florida and drive it.
By the
I
way,
I
if
had
you
a
ever get the chance to ride in John's Fiat, do it.
I had a boss when I was in my early 20s who wanted a Corvette all his life, and for I think his 40th birthday, he bought himself a Corvette. But he was like 6'4", and he really couldn't drive that thing.
I'll
And I
tell you.
used to sort of on the side babysit for him, and the car seat was in the Corvette. I mean, back then you could have a car seat in the front seat. And so he'd be like, can you take David home or whatever? And here's the keys to the Corvette. So I was always driving the Corvette around. But one time I went to the bank to get change. And so at that time, if you put the key in and turn it to the right, it unlocked the door. But if you turn it to the left, it set the alarm off. And I put the key in, I turned I turned it to the right, and it didn't unlock. And I think I hadn't shut the door quite all the way or something, so I pushed on the door and I set the alarm off. Well, he never told me how to turn off the alarm, so I had to drive back to the Hallmark shop, which was about 4 or 5 blocks away, with the alarm going the whole time. And I was like, I'm leaving a bank with my bank bag from the store with the alarm going off. But I made it back to the store and he came, and it was like I forget what it was, something simple to turn off the alarm, but he never told me how to do it. But no one stopped me or, whatever. I made it back to the store okay, but that was kind of a funny story.
Yeah,
I gotta say that listening to all this car talk and stuff, 5 years ago I wouldn't have been even say any of this. I'd have been sitting there jealous of you guys because you guys were buying new cars and things like that. And
I mean, I'm not a new car buyer as well. And right
I
now,
don't buy new
I'm
ones.
driving
No.
that RAV, and I took the back seats out of the car, or I had my car guys do it for me to make a little more room. I can stack 2 boxes high right behind the driver's seat instead of. And my husband's like, get a new vehicle, because I kind of had a little too close call with a light pole at Walmart, so my front left end caved in a little bit. But I'm like, why spend all that money? Because I'm just going to put a zillion miles on that thing. I might as well this is a Toyota. I might as well drive it till the wheels fall off. But on occasion, I do have to rent a bigger van, or I take the truck because that holds a little bit more. We got a camper top last year for me to use instead of buying a van. And then my husband was kind of like, I don't really like driving the RAV when you're gone with it, so I don't take the truck as much as I used to. But
I think also talking about the cars, my experience, people don't realize being self-employed, how hard it is sometimes to get approved for things. In my experience, because now my wife has a steady paycheck, it was easy. It got approved in 2 hours. When I had the restaurant, I was responsible for $25,000 a month. And, you're saying, okay, let's say you're making $30,000 a year. And they're saying, wait a minute, you're responsible for $250,000 worth of stuff a year. How do those numbers compute? And even they don't quite understand it. So 5 years ago, I wouldn't have got approved to buy a car, because they would have said, no, you have a $250,000 mortgage that you pay every year in the properties and stuff. And so it really, it makes it complicated that people don't understand that. And it was a nice experience I finally said to my wife, it was a Sunday morning. I said, here, I was looking at this car last night. She goes, we can't get that. I said, no, I think we can. So we sent all the documents, sent over paychecks, and within 2 hours, yep, you could, when do you want it? And it'll be delivered. And it was neat, the process of looking at the pictures and everything that, and now I'll be honest, and I like that, because having gone what I went through, it's kind of demeaning when you walk into a dealership and they're dealing sometimes with local banks. No, and they make you feel like you're worthless, that you're not even. I mean, let's face it, a car, you need to go to a job, unless you're buying, like John says, the Corvette, but you need a car to go to work. And
Most
as
times.
long as you're working, and now the restaurant has been closed for a year, so that burden as far as that has been off my back. So it was a nice to be able to, My wife is concerned because when I drive down to Tennessee, I'm going to drive down the Buick, the car that I have that has about 160,000 miles. I said, I'll be fine. I don't want to add no miles to the, her new vehicle. Now, when we go to Florida in December, we're going to drive that down. What's good about it, too, is it's an SUV that gets 26 to 32 miles a gallon on gas.
Nice.
Let's not talk about gas mileage.
I'll tell you, though, 5 years ago, when Marcia came into my life, we made a decision that we were going to get our finances in order. And we did. We were able to buy a house. I mean, it was hard work. Don't get me wrong. It took a lot of time and effort, but we did
Sacrifice and discipline, on.
It wasn't really that hard to change my lifestyle because my lifestyle there was nothing there. I mean, I lived at my mom's house for free. So thank God, because if I didn't, it would have been a little bit harder. But we made that decision, and look where we are today. We're able to go to a car dealership. A lot of that's because of reselling. Most of that's because of reselling now. I mean, I was able to go out and buy a car for her on payments, which I was never. The first time we went into a car dealership and bought a car, I was like blown away that they even would give me a loan, that kind of thing. So if I can do this, anybody can do this. I mean, it just takes a little bit of changing your mindset, just a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to change my entire mindset, just a little bit to begin with. And once that changed, then everything started falling into place for me. I have people like my daughter ask me, well, how did you get credit? And I said, we got Fingerhut credit cards and bought one item, paid it for 6 months. And that's how I started building it. It doesn't take a lot. You don't.
Good old Fingerhut. I remember my
listen,
the towels and the pots and the pans and stuff from them.
Well, it's way overpriced stuff, but if you buy one item, boy, does that help your credit. One item. That's all you got to buy. I think I bought a video camera for YouTube. What's all that? Credit cards.
Credit cards. Oh boy.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I was able to get credit cards to help give this business a kickstart. Right. And now I don't like buying on credit, but sometimes you have to in this business. It's just necessary. But if you have the right mindset, you can do this. It's difficult, sure, but just change your mindset a little bit,
Listen, I'm real. I have a real plan. A lot of people say, "Oh, you got the fancy RV and all that."
You didn't always.
As long as I got a Harley, I need Harley and a tank of gas, and I'm happy. I mean, I really don't need anything or want anything. We talk about the new cars. I'll go look at that 2020, and yes, I probably could stroke my name on a piece of paper and have it. I won't buy it. Reality will set in that it's a stupid decision to buy the thing.
But it's nice to know that you can. It's nice to know. Yeah. It's nice to be in that position because there was a lot of I can'ts back in the day. And I'm sure, I know for you, John, there was a lot of you wouldn't have been able to do that a few years ago.
This is the kind of stuff I'm looking at buying.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this one here.
Like a warehouse?
No.
Oh.
It's a 400 unit storage unit.
Ah. Years and years ago, I had thought about that.
In a town full of trailers.
Yeah.
These people all live in mobile homes and RVs out here. They need storage, and here's a 400 unit storage unit for sale for under $400,000.
Oh wow!
I will be looking at it this week.
I'll tell you, I talked to a couple storage unit owners, that own the facilities, and they say it's a big investment up front, but it pays for itself like within 5 years. I mean, it's because you're getting monthly rent per unit. What is it? $30 to $50, $60, $80, depending on where you're at.
Hell, I hope they don't pay for it. I'm going to cut the frickin' locks off and sell the stuff.
When we got our first travel trailer, we lived in a subdivision and we couldn't keep it, at the house. And we went to a brand new storage unit facility. I mean, literally when my husband signed up and everything, they were just they were just putting the fencing up or the lock system or something or other. Within like 2 months, half that parking lot was full or more. I mean, and I think we paid $60 or $75 just for a parking space. And I mean, honestly, there's not much maintenance to parking spaces. I don't even remember if at that one we had pavement or it was just gravel. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I had thought about that a lot. What a money
Well,
maker
think about it.
it was.
Most of the storage units around here don't even have electric in them. They're just
Yeah,
they're just garages, glorified garages, basically.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Tin,
and
like tin buildings.
I when I was in construction, we built a couple. I mean, there's not much to them. It's basically a pole style building with metal sheeting. That's
Hey
it.
guys, I got to get going. I actually got to go to the bank and go make collections for rent. So,
Okay, good.
Got my name right on the check.
grumpy and tired.
By the way, my PayPal is slicktoys@yahoo.com. Go ahead and
If you don't think I can get a check cashed that says grumpy and tired, try me.
my grandma used to go to the bank and sign my grandfather's name right in front of the cashiers. She didn't care.
Hey guys, have a good day. Sue, nice
You
seeing
too.
you.
All right, bye, Pat.
Yep. Bye bye.
Thanks for coming by. Oh, that's really funny, Steve.
Oh, well, they knew her there. I mean, she banked with them for many, many, many years. They knew she wasn't. Nowadays, she probably couldn't do it, but back then, they knew that it was legit.
Hell,
So.
back then, Dad used to give me $5 in somebody in a corner store for Salem 100s.
Yeah, $5. They were like 89 cents a pack when
Well, that was probably
I
5
started.
packs, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Maybe for a carton.
I never bought one. I always got the change for penny candy.
That's another change I made was quitting smoking, and boy, did that save me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other change we made is I quit going out to eat all the time. We ate at home, and you don't realize when you're in a bad situation. Okay, we're going to go to McDonald's twice a week. Well, that's $20-$30 a week. You're just thrown into your tummy when you could go and I mean, even if you have to live on ramen noodles and peanut butter for a while, you can save a lot of money.
I'm not even going to tell. I went to dinner Thursday night was our anniversary. We went to the top of the world at the Strat in Las Vegas, and the restaurant revolves. It's on the 110th floor, and it revolves around so you can see the entire skyline of Las Vegas. It was beautiful. Not going to tell you what that cost. And then Jason T. Smith and I had dinner with our wives at Hugo Cellars in the basement of the Four Queens. And the waiters wear tuxedos and the ladies get roses when they walk in. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what that cost either.
How was that? I wanted to ask you about it, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk.
It was the best time I've had with a reseller in a very long time.
Oh, cool.
I learned a lot. People think I'm crazy. People think I'm nuts. We had a long discussion about what he sells, how long he's been selling on eBay for 20 some years. Mm-hmm. We talked about his TV show and found out that was a reality show. That was real. When he paid at the cashier, it came out of his wallet.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It wasn't a budget in the show that he could spend X dollars. It came out of his wallet every time he paid it. And the sales were his. But it wasn't staged. Mm-hmm. For the most part, there was nothing hidden that he could find that was, this magical unicorn. Everything he found was reality. It's what he does every day. But we talked about retirement. And his wife is in finance, a very smart woman. That was a nice conversation. We talked about all the different, through the years when we bumped into each other. We had a good time just finally being able to sit down and not have somebody come up to talk to him or somebody come up to talk to me because we were at an event. We
Yeah.
just had time to enjoy. The wives chit chatted. Jason and I talked. It was nice. Him and Scott, I got to put it together, but him and Scott are going to do a special um, webinar, bring the
Oh,
two of them
cool.
together.
Very
Oh,
cool.
that'd be cool.
Um,
I got to meet Jason at ASD, and it was the first time I met him. But he was surrounded by people, so it was tough. But I did get to talk to Stacy, his wife, for a little
yeah,
bit, and she's
Stacy's
just
really
very nice lady to talk to,
very supportive of his
and
business.
seemed very humble. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I got from her. And I was so tired after ASD that Saturday that he was here in Hubbard, Ohio, with at
Mhm.
his mom's weekly meetup. I just didn't get a chance to go down, and I should have, but I was still tired. I was still overwhelmed by the whole ASD experience, but
Well,
I will eventually
I
get a
was going to
chance.
say, I think he attends a couple times a year.
Yeah, he does. I think he comes
we
up
talked,
around Christmas time too.
we talked about VAs. We talked about the employees. We talked about assistants. We talked a lot, and the everybody has the same. I run into the same problem. He loves to treasure hunt.
Hmm.
The listing part is very hard, and for somebody like that, the time crunch of listing things, because he does a lot of traveling. You
Yeah.
know, he has a lot of places that they ask him to speak or whatever, and he does his traveling. And how he has an end game, but it's how do you get from here to because that's where I'm at, guys. I'm struggling with the transition from the everyday hustle to where it's a, 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 a hobby passion that I enjoy doing sometimes. It's very hard to transition into that. Sue's got to be struggling with it a lot with her husband being retired. She talks about taking Wednesday off or Tuesday off to go, but she wants to do something other than have lunch. Um, I
Well,
want to say,
my
let's go
thing
trip.
is, we do lunch pretty regular, but it's like if I'm going to
I
take a
know.
whole day off, I want to do something more than just, going to lunch.
My biggest problem with my wife is if we take a day off, she wants to go shopping. Yeah, I mean, and that's not a day off to me.
Yeah.
I, I shop with my vendors. I shop, I'm constantly in that buy. Shopping's not a day off.
Hmm.
Actually, it becomes annoying to me. But Jason was, Jay, I had, it was a wonderful time. It was very educational for me to sit down and discuss that with him. I was surprised at how open he was about some of the issues he was having. Somebody with 20 years experience, a 2-year running TV show about his business, a recent appearance on Pawn Stars. We got to talk about that. That was really an education um, in what it takes to be on that show and how many people are involved in the making of that show and all of that. It, it was interesting to see it from somebody else's perspective that he struggles every day. He has problems every day in what he does. So I'm like, well, I'm not that bad off then.
I
Um,
think that's what a lot of people, they see us on YouTube, they see Jason on YouTube, and they think we all have it made, and we don't. We're just normal, everyday people who are trying to make scratch out a living. Really, you know, we just
I,
don't
if
have it
I
made.
if I remember right, I believe yesterday was his wife's birthday,
Yes.
and I believe at the end of this month, it's they've been married 29 years, and they want to go away, and It's, well, I don't want to put the store on vacation
Mm,
because he just had this big thing on YouTube. I mean, not on YouTube, on Pawn Stars. Remember that, so he's going to get residual
mhm.
overflow from a show that never stops airing. Every time you turn on the TV, there's an episode of Pawn Stars somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's, for him, he has his struggles. So we, I've been discussing retirement a lot, and that's where I'm at in my life. I mean, I keep trying to go to YouTube and talk about business, and it's not what I want to do. And I talked about that last night on my channel. I'm gonna be stepping back. I don't know how many I'm not gonna commit to being at the show every Tuesday and Thursday. I was up this morning. I woke up at 4:30. I said, okay, I'll get up and help Scott with the show. Um, uh, but if I was tired, I would have rolled over and went back to sleep and said, I'm not going to do the show. I'm just going to start pulling back a little. I may find that after 6 months that I want to get out there with the YouTube and show people what I was doing. But I find it right now to be draining. You know what I mean? And I don't know if anybody can understand that. But
Yeah,
Completely.
I think, I think we should be careful. Like, I mean, right now I'm working lots of hours or whatever, and I'm fine with it. It's something I enjoy. My husband forces me to take a few days off every couple months. We go up to the mountains. But you have to be careful about burnout. I mean, that's a real thing with reselling or maybe anything else. But um, I think we have to watch out for our own, mental health, as well as regular health. But I mean, that's just something we have to watch out
I
for.
think Pat made a comment earlier about people who've had a job for 20 years. Those are the burned out people. I mean, I got burned out after a year, 6 months at a job. I mean, and it's the same as what we do. I mean, there's burnout. There's days that I just don't want to do this anymore.
it,
Then the next day it changes. So
for me, it's not burnout at all. It's really not burnout. It's, I'm older. I don't have the same energy that I had 12 years ago when I started this company. And it was always a desire to build this to where that I could pull back and find that work life balance.
Hmm.
Somebody said you need to go fishing. I'm on the Colorado River, man. They got these freaking fish that are this long. They're about 14, 16 inches long in the water. I wouldn't know how to bait a hook.
yeah, me either.
I've never been fishing. Somebody said go play golf. I wouldn't know which end of the club to hold.
If
Why
you do get a
well,
chance to go play golf, though, you'll enjoy it. It's a fun time. Just go out with a couple of buddies or people who just are out there to have fun. Don't go out with the serious golfer guys. Go out with the guys who are having fun, and you will have a great time. Trust me.
I'm gonna. One of the things I am gonna do is there's two things that I'm definitely gonna do while I'm here, and I don't know if my wife's gonna go with me or not. I am going to go abuse my body in an ATV out in the desert.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Um, well, I raced when I was a kid. I mean, I did a lot of I raced oval track, dirt oval track. I raced ice racing up in Maine. I loved ice racing on a four wheeler. I'm old, but I'm going to get out there in ATV, and I know I'm going to hurt my body. I'm going to be sore for a couple of days when I'm done, but I'm going to get out there and I'm going to run. They got some nice little, it looks not so much like a track, but they have where they've worn through the mountains and the deserts out here, like a little roadway with these ATVs. I'm going to get out there and open it up one day. I'm going to get a jet ski and I'm going to get out on the Colorado River and do that. I want to do. I want to do what I built this company for, and that was to have freedom to go travel with my wife and see different things instead of sitting in here and staring at a freaking computer screen, which is what I tend to do.
Okay, so I have to tell you this, John, because I know you don't watch the chat, but Money for Mars said you need a college kid to bait your hook. But I have a
Hire a teenager to bait the hook for you.
So I was a Boy Scout leader for a really long time, and when it was the Cub Scouts, one of the things we did was we did a fishing. It wasn't merit badges in Cub Scouts, but it was like something to check off or whatever. And so we we went fishing. These little boys come up to me. They're like, Miss Redmond, can you hook my like put the worm on my hook? I can't get it on there, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't show them that this is really not something I don't want to do. So I'm like, sure. I'm sitting there inside, I'm going, yeah. But the kids had a great time. They really did. I'm not into fishing, but it is, I mean, for some people, a very calming thing. But I know I said this before, John. Just make sure you have plenty to do in retirement, because I told you it's ruined my husband retiring.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to. That's the thing is, I don't want to retire. I don't want to like walk away from the business and have them totally run it where I don't have anything
Mhm.
to do. But I also want to have the freedom, enough freedom that yesterday I sat in a poker game. I never looked at my phone. I never looked at the Amazon sales. I never looked at eBay. I'm pretty good about if I shut off the computer by 9 o'clock in the morning, not looking at it for the rest of the day until I look at it right before I go to bed. I do look at my numbers before I go to bed, make sure that my account hasn't been suspended or something. But
Mhm.
I've gotten much better at choosing when I work, and that's what I want. That's the
Yeah.
freedom everybody wants, is to
Mhm.
choose when I do something. That's tough, and because you build your like, so you don't need the resell. I'm guessing you don't need the resell to pay the bills. Your husband's retired. You worked for
No, I
years.
mean, here's the thing, like, my husband retired way earlier than he was supposed to. Actually, his plan was always to retire in 2020. And, he ended up retiring 5 years or so ago. And we did save for retirement and stuff, but we had to be really careful because he retired way earlier than he planned. And when we moved from California, we super downsized.
Yeah, but what I'm
Just
saying
things
is
that happened.
you don't need to keep growing your business.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to. I mean, my whole plan was to work for 10 years and, add to our retirement instead of just living off of it. So that
Right,
so that we could live comfortably afterward,
right.
you know. So yeah, I want to grow it to a certain point, but not, I mean, I have a goal in mind of how much money to make each year. And so I mean, probably by next year, depending on how well Q4 goes this year, I might hit it this year, but I'm thinking next year. And then I'd like to keep at it for, 5 or 6 more years. But again, like you said, I would like to be doing it with just more of a, I don't want to be lifting 50-pound boxes and doing
Well,
that kind of thing for another 5 years.
the first thing you have to do, and I'm going to be very blunt about this, is you got to stop saying we.
Okay.
You have to learn. The first thing you have to change is your mindset. We have to do this or we have to do that. They need to do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start to change, and you are changing, I see it I see it in you a lot, especially like with the VAs and stuff. You started with the list of what they can do. Scott did the list of what they can do. I'm hoping while he's out on the road, he realizes he really needs people to help him uh, sustain what he's got. I hate to say, I really hate to see his health deteriorate over something, you know, that he could have gotten help with. And I know he's struggling. I know Joni has surgery next month, and I know he's got a lot on his plate. But you have to change that mindset of we to they. And it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy and one of the first things I fully delegated was my money. So it wasn't the warehousing. I was writing about this, and I realized that the first thing I fully delegated was my money. I made my accountant pay the bills. I made him handle all the credit cards. I made him tell me what I had available to spend. I delegated everything to him for him to develop his own systems, and that was not easy to have them handle my money. I don't know how much is in my checking account today.
Well,
And
I mean, the
I know
first
I'm okay. I know I'm okay. And I
Mhm.
talk to my accountant all the time. But the actual amount of money, I don't know how much is in there. But if you go to any CEO of a major corporation, they're going to tell you, I don't know. I can't tell. I know we're okay financially, but I can't tell you how much money's in the checkbook. I can't even tell you where the checkbook is.
I mean, that's not, I did not do that, but the first thing I did outsource was all my bookkeeping because I don't love that part of it and I wanted to keep it in really good order. And, I did, I hired the CPA to do my taxes that first year. And that's, well, actually the second year, my first full year, but I had I had done them all my life and I hate doing taxes, and I've done my parents and I've done my grandmother's. I just have always done that myself. I did my son's for the first like 5 years he was in business. And then so I did hire him just to do the taxes, and then later he came back with a price for doing all my bookkeeping, all my taxes, like my sales tax, my everything. And that was really, really wonderful. I do still pay the bills, but it's all kind of online and pretty automated or whatever. But that was very freeing to have that. So I don't have any issues with hiring, and I'm working on it little by little. But somebody was asking in the chat, Steve, where do you see your business going?
Yeah, and sadly, I don't have that kind of plan because I didn't expect to be where I'm at. I expected to be living off of eBay, and she had a job that she loved. Now she's rethinking that plan because it's just like John was saying about Scott. It's taking a toll on her body.
Just
Anytime you do that kind of thing, she's a nurse's aide, and so we have a plan now that she's going to leave that by the end of the year. And right now we're in the process of seeing if this business can sustain us without her having to make an income. And luckily it is. We're making enough. And then with her working with me, we'll make more. But as
right.
far as an end game, I really don't have one yet. And I know I need to do that. I know I need to sit down and figure out where I need to go. Because if I don't, then it's just willy nilly all the time. And it's just, and
Well, I
that's
think
not
that's
good.
a good start though, because I knew that you wanted Marcia to, come
Yeah.
and work with you, and now you sort of have a date in mind for that.
It's a pretty solid date now. She's been back to work for a couple of months, and except for using some of the her pay for putting a down payment on the car, we haven't touched any of her money. So, and that was on purpose so that we had some
Sure.
money
Mhm.
when we when she does make that leap. And she does have a retirement. It's not a it's a pension. It's not a 401k or anything, and they require her to take it if she quits. So she'll have that. So we'll have a little bit of a nest egg there, but we need to make this business create more of a net, that kind of thing. And so but we are starting to formulate plans and schemes and things like that. And I think that's why we're going towards the wholesale side of things and the bundles and things like that, is because you can make a good living on RA,
Mhm.
but eventually your body's going to wear out, or the sources are going to change, or Amazon's going to change the rules on you, and you're going to need an invoice for the things that you were able to buy before. And there's going to be a lot of changes, and I could see it coming with Amazon with changes, and so we need to develop a more steady income instead of depending on, okay, there's a clearance sale at Walgreens, let's go, that kind of thing. We still want to do that, love every minute of it, we love the travel part of it, but uh, so we're still in the development phase. There we go. That's a good word for it.
Mhm.
But but you understand that. I mean, you have more of a plan than you actually
Right.
realize. One of the things that Jason talked about at dinner was he has to thrift to sustain his business. He has to go out and buy more inventory. There's nothing if he stops sourcing, the income stops. That becomes an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now listen, he has other things, other streams of income, but it's still time requirements that, as you get older, you don't want we built these things for freedom. Everybody could say, you could say whatever you want. Oh, I love it, blah, blah, blah. We do it because it provides an income for our families and it gives us some freedom. But true freedom comes when you're able to say when you're going to work and when you're not going to.
Mhm.
I thrifted for a long time, guys. Lori and I would go for 8 hours straight sorting jeans on Sunday at 50 cents a pair so that we could sell jeans. But it wasn't sustainable. You couldn't get to a point where somebody else could take over. You
Mhm.
could teach them parts, you could teach them how to ship, you could teach them how to list, you could teach, but to actually run your company that way is very tough. So you have to get, and you see that, Steve. You see that you have to be sustainable. Sue sees that she needs some base income. To keep these things going for 5 years, 10 years, you have to have a base income. You
Some
can't be out there sourcing 20 hours a day.
I had a comment on one of my videos, and nothing negative about the person who made the comment, but they said to me, "Well, RA will never dry up as long as there's retail stores." But I said the process is going to change. The rules are going to change. You got to think ahead of that. You can't think, okay, RA is awesome. Well, Scott made what, $45,000 in 1 month or something like that. Yeah, that happens, but it's not always going to happen. And you got to be thinking ahead of that, and that's where we're at right now. So we're thinking ahead of what are we going to do after? What happens tomorrow if I break my leg and I can't go out? That kind of thing. So I have to have
There's
a
this
sustainable
magical
income.
number. There's this magical number in everybody's life that they hit. It's 50.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. So
When you hit 50, you all of a sudden realize, wait a minute, what about the future? There was a change from 49 to 50 for me. Now all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, I'm over the halfway point in my life. Is this what I want to do the rest of my life? I'm going to be chasing dollar, because at the time I was chasing Dollar Trees. 8 hours a day at Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree. We got to see a lot of the East Coast that way. Scott's out there in a van right now, seeing a lot of country, but it's tiring. And you wake up and you go, is if you're 30 years old chasing thrift stores, eh, the future is, 50's 20 years away. It's like it's like trying to figure out how you're going to get to Mars. And I'm not picking on anybody that's 30 years old, but anybody 50 and over understands what I'm saying, or anybody approaching 50 understands what I'm saying. You start to see things a little different in the world. And you're starting to see that you need something sustainable.
yep.
If Marcia's going to come home, you have no retirement then.
Mm-mm.
You got no retirement to fall back on.
Nope.
You have to build it yourselves, and you need something sustainable.
And that's
And
what
that's
we're
where the
working
boring
towards. Yeah.
wholesale comes in.
I don't think it's well. I'll tell you, I've put in, and she's put in, probably since ASD, probably 40 or 50 hours just researching wholesale distributors and where to find the particular product that we want to buy. And we're going to do it. And I've signed up with a few, and I've done all the procedures, and it just what you need to do to make the business where we need it to be. That's all.
Listen, that one but let's take that a step
I got
further.
to talk to you
You
about that after the show a little bit,
you,
if you
you
have time.
got 40 50 hours invested in this, right?
Yep. Yep. Or more, probably more, actually, a piece.
But if you get it developed, I believe that's an income stream for
Oh yeah,
years to come.
sure,
For years to come.
sure.
Uh, and I told you that I was blown away that you and your wife came up with that idea. I was like so. I literally was blown away that
It's a
in
simple idea, really,
it
but
really is. It really is, but it's something nobody's thought about, and it's going to take you far.
yeah,
But because of it, you got 40 or 50 hours in it. What kind of income are you going to be able to generate from that
right.
40 or 50 hours now over the next 5 years? What kind of,
Hopefully it'll pay off. Sure, and it
if it
will. I
pays you
know it will.
if it pays you $1,000 an hour, would you be happy?
I'd be happy with $100 an hour.
It's probably I'm going to guess it's closer to $1,000 an hour for those 40 or 50 hours you put in.
Yeah,
That idea is probably going to pay you $50,000 over the next 5 years. I'd
it's
be
hard to
willing to bet.
imagine it. It's really hard to
I
imagine it, but I think you're right.
You have to understand. I know what I'm talking,
Yeah,
and we can't really discuss it on
no,
air.
and I never will.
But I but I have a background in what they're talking about, and it's easy 40, 50,000 in profit over the next 5 years, guys. You have a home run there of like I'd be behind that all day. If you said, "Oh, I'm not going to do it," I'd be all over it.
My biggest issue right now is putting it together, finding the suppliers that have what I want. And like I said, that was what most of the research was this week. And you also have uh, minimum order quantities from a lot of these companies, and sometimes it's pretty significant for a person like me. Like
Yes.
one was $2,500, one was 1,000, and so you got to think, okay, am I willing to take this risk and leap? Is this a good enough I haven't sold any yet, and so you sometimes it's just worth taking the risk, and we're willing to take $1,000 risk if it works out, even if it doesn't work out. It happens. I mean, in business, you're going to make good decisions, you're going to make bad decisions, and you're going to make one that
Hell, I'll
seems like a
partner
great.
with you on it. If the money's the thing holding you back, I'll partner with you on
Well,
it.
I'm actually in contact with the company who manufactures the one part of the, and so
I
I'm waiting
got
for
you.
them to get back to me. Um, and it's not that hard, guys. It took me several hours, but I figured out who manufactured the one piece that I needed to make the bundle what we want it to be. And I found out who it was, and I went and found out how to become a wholesale supplier. And they have very strict rules on how you put their stuff in bundles. So not all the companies do, but this particular one does. So I got to follow it. As long as I follow their rules, I'm good to go. So and it's a
This
very
is
well-known company, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're able to buy their product and put it in your bundle, right?
Yep. And they have guidelines for
I know.
Amazon bundling. Yeah.
And
So
that's
I know.
fantastic. I mean, just like knowing the rules with Amazon, you have that need to know the rules of the companies you're buying from.
and I don't even know their pricing structure yet, but because they won't give it to you until you're actually fully signed up with them.
Mm.
So, but I'm pretty sure it's coming straight from them. I'm not sure they're a manufacturer, but they're the biggest name in that company, or one of the biggest names in that field. So now the one that we met at ASD, John, the one that I got the big, thick, heavy,
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
they want a $2,500 minimum order,
Yeah, I
but
can
they
get
don't
around.
have the.
I can get that fixed for you.
Yeah, they don't have everything I want. There's the one piece that I want I can't get from them. So, and I'll talk
We'll
to you about it
discuss it.
after.
Yeah, we'll discuss it. But I promise you, you'll be happy with that product. Years from now, you'll be going, "Holy cow! I never thought." It's going to be
We already
it's a
have a
pop
whole
rock.
line. We already have a whole line thought out.
It's a pop rock for you. It really is
Yeah.
because you're going to get started in it, and you're all of a sudden it's going to explode on you, and you're going to be like, "Holy cow! $100,000 in pop rocks? Who the hell eats this many pop rocks?" And I had to learn to forget about what they were trying to do with pop rocks or what. you know, how they were smoking them in a
I don't
freaking
care
crack
what you do
pipe
with
or
it.
whatever,
Yeah, don't
and
care what
just
you do.
supply them
I
and
learned a
just
long.
sell them.
I learned a long time ago on eBay. I don't care what the end user does with my product. A lot of people bitch about drop shippers and things like that buying their stuff and selling it for a higher price. I sold some ink toner yesterday for $75 that I paid $1.50 for. Okay. And the guy messages me, he says, "This is for resale." He was one of the honest ones. I very rarely get that. They usually say it's a gift or something like that. I don't care what you do with it. You can send it to the moon. I don't care where it goes once I sell it to you. I got what I wanted for it. So the same with the pop rocks. They can smoke them all they want. I wouldn't care. It's not my. It's not what I think of when I'm buying a product to resell. The thing that I'm thinking of is the bottom line, really, most of the
That
time.
and you have to do that.
You do need to know who your end user is. I mean, you need to know who
Yeah.
you're selling to, because you can't. And I actually interviewed somebody who would use my product while I was in Vegas. The friend that I met, and he at first balked at the idea, and then he thought about it a little bit, and he said, "You know what? There isn't anybody supplying that to people like the, that are like him." And so I said, "Okay, that's all I needed to know." So I sat down and actually talked to somebody who would buy that product.
That's a really good plan. I mean, I know Mommy Income has talked about that, like show your ideas to non-resellers and see what opinion they have about it or what they like about it or what they wouldn't.
Steve don't need to show anybody this idea.
He's a non-reseller. I tried to talk to him about reselling, and he's just like, "I don't want to do that."
Oh, the
He's
dude in Vegas.
yes, and so I know that I know that, and he's in the right mindset to understand the
Yes.
product that I'm
Yes.
trying to sell, and he's like, "Yeah, now that you say it, I can't go to Walmart and buy that stuff. I can't go to you can't even go to Dollar Tree and buy that stuff. You
Nope.
can't go to
It's
you
not a
can get
Dollar
it
Tree.
you can get it on Amazon, and there are some, but it's not what we're going to put together." And so, that you got to think a little bit outside the box, but find a niche and fill it. Find a need and fill it. That's all.
So Gordon's asking, what stops someone else from just copying your bundle and underpricing or buying more PPC? Well, one of the
There's a
things,
lot.
if you're buying from different manufacturers or from different places, it's going to make it harder. And most people don't want to do that kind of work. But the
Plus, you got minimum order quantities when you're buying straight from a distributor, and a lot of people can't do that. And that's what we're running into now is, can we afford that? Can we, in our current budget, afford that? Well, we're going to have to, and we're going to do it because we know that this idea will pay for itself, hopefully, relatively quickly.
But it's almost it's can be as simple as instead of going to Walmart and buying products from there, buying one from a regional store near you that everybody can't buy, and two from Walmart and bundling them together. I mean, here's the thing, because somebody else made another comment about what stops China from just duplicating something. And okay, well, there's always what ifs, but if you never start and just go ahead and try something, you never know if it's going to work or not.
Now, if you're building bundles straight off a Dollar Tree, there isn't anything stopping somebody else from doing that. If you're going direct to a distributor or manufacturer, yeah, there's a big barrier to entry there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But even at that, a lot of times people copy your bundle from Dollar Tree, and then if you just wait them out, they
yeah,
are lazy and don't refill it. So, that's just the thing. I mean, there's always a lot of, what if, like I said, but it's the people that get off their ass and go to work that are good. Because a lot of people talk about big ideas, or a lot of people talk about, I wish I could leave my job and resell full time, or I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that. But they don't get up and try it.
you want to
They
know
don't take action.
there's only
They
one
don't take
barrier.
action.
There's only one barrier to being successful and not successful in this industry, and it's right here. That's your barrier, and it's stopped me from a lot of things, and I'm trying to change that. ASD and hanging out with John and Scott and Dan for the week really changed my mindset about what I can do instead of what I can't do. And so, because I've always been I can't. Now
Yeah,
I'm
you.
trying to think
Yeah, when
more
I first met you, that was the one thing. It was you were very. I don't want to say
timid.
you were. You weren't negative,
No, I'm never negative, but I do.
but you were full of full of doubt.
And
And I
now
think
I came home and I put my doubts aside and went to work. I went and took some action. Now we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
I think the one turning point was when you told me your idea, and I raced from the first floor to the second floor to directly to a distributor and
Who
showed
would
you how
fulfill
to
that
put
order?
that could actually put that idea into action for you. And I told you that you had a good idea, and I think that was a turning point for you. Not that I told you, but
That
you
was
seen
one,
it,
yes.
but you
The
seen it was actually
Yeah.
possible.
And the other there was two turning points that well, three really. The first one was that for sure, because just voicing that idea to somebody who understands that industry and them thinking it was a good idea
Oh,
really
yeah, good idea.
is a
I'm pissed
confidence
that I didn't
booster.
know it.
That's a great confidence booster. Second one was when Dan pretty much
Yeah,
forced me to make a purchase at ASD. And that was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. It's not that difficult. And the order came, and I've sent a whole bunch of them in already. It's great. The third one was with Scott's driving, and it's silly. It's silly that this was an eye opener for me, but he just drives. He knows what he's doing. He has a goal in mind, and he's going to get there. And there's a real life lesson in that, just that alone. And I got out of the car and I said it on my live video, like I got off the plane and I got in my car and I drove like Scott. Not quite like Scott. I'm not gonna be that little, but it's just because it was an eye opener that okay, it's the confidence that I saw in John and Dan and Scott that helped me out a lot personally, because I really, that's my biggest downfall, is I lack that. And I mean, you saw it as soon as you met me. And
yeah,
people,
but you were totally different. What was it? 5 days you were there.
yeah.
By the time I took you to the airport Friday, you were in a total different mindset. And sometimes that's all it takes is to change
Mhm.
your mindset a little. You don't have to. I'm reading a book right now, my men's group. But listen, I'm in a very expensive mentorship group that was an offshoot of a a men's group that Dave Ramsey's been in for 15 years or something. Um, it's we're reading a book, and it basically says if you change one little habit, you're not going to notice the difference. But in 5 years, you're going to look back and go, "Holy cow! Look what I did."
I
I
I
got up
can
every day and went to
testify to
work.
that.
I got up and went to work every day, and I got to tell you, most days I felt like I was failing. And then I got to a point, I turned around and went, "Holy cow! Look at what I accomplished."
I gotta say, and I talked about it earlier. I didn't quit smoking, but I changed from going to restaurants every day and buying cigarettes every day. I went to roll my own, and I was able to afford a house by the end of the year, afford a down payment on a house by the end of the year from the money that I saved. So just changing one little thing can mean a
Hmm.
huge difference. Just changing your daily routine sometimes can be a huge difference in your life. And I never thought I'd be a homeowner. I never thought I'd be able to go to a car dealership and buy a car.
You
And because
never thought you were going to sell on Amazon.
I never thought I was
Right.
going to
I
meet
mean,
John Chartier, but I did it all. I've done it.
but that's right. I mean, to think about, we've talked about this before, Steve, that you were just totally happy with eBay, and then
Mhm.
one little change, and you were
And that
starting
was it.
Amazon, and now you're building that, and now you're wholesale, and
Trying to wholesale. We haven't
I
got there
mean,
yet, but we're
all
going
those
to.
some of those steps are pretty big steps, not just little steps. So, but
Well, you
it's
got to do
confidence. I mean,
something.
a confidence is really important.
You're going to do something. You might as well jump in with both feet and do it right instead of him, because I like to him and haw about things, and that's not the right mindset to have. So that's changing a little bit. Just do it. If you fail at it, it's a learning experience. Our first two bundles were pretty much failures. We haven't sold a single one. We made some mistakes when we did the listings. We made some mistakes when we bought the product. The type of I didn't understand we didn't understand all the rules that Amazon has in place for certain types of products. And those two types of products that we have as bundles there were some restrictions around them. So we're changing that, So we lost $500. We'll make it back on the next one. That's the kind of mindset we have now.
Now you got a $500 education. That's what you.
Yep.
That's what you should be saying.
Yeah. Well, it was a very good learning process. We know what not to try to bundle together now, and I tried to put pay-per-click on that one that I showed you, and it wouldn't let me because it glorifies a certain activity, and Amazon will not allow you to put pay-per-click on that. So,
okay.
Yeah, because, well, it's in the smoking industry, so you're not allowed to glorify smoking. So you can't do that. So we won't do that no more. So it was an education for sure. We can still sell them on Amazon. We just can't promote them on Amazon. And so it's a big learning curve, but it didn't stop us from coming up with another bundle idea and trying to do the next one. And the next one's hopefully the winner. And according to John, it is. So I have another good one too, and Dollar Tree is a great place to go to get bundle ideas. You don't have to buy from there. But
I told you that.
Yeah, I walked through. Yeah, I walked through Dollar Tree and I saw one product, and it just brought out another whole idea. I didn't buy I'm not going to buy the stuff from Dollar Tree, but I did buy the initial product just to see how the bundle looked together, which I think is a good idea. If you can put your hands on a bundle, you can't always do that, but if you can put your hands on it and look at it and physically touch it, it actually enhances your ideas. It makes it better. And that's why you go to places like ASD, so you can actually see that product. It's really nice when you can actually touch it and feel it and see it and understand the quality behind it or the lack thereof. And you can actually talk to the people who are selling it. How many units of these do you sell? Is it a popular product? Is it not a popular product? That kind of thing. So that's what I loved it. Somebody loves my humbleness. I didn't know I was that humble, but I've been told. I'm just me. This is what you get.
Hey guys, I know we're kind of coming up on 2 hours, but the bigger thing is I have somebody a few minutes away who's bought something from Facebook Marketplace. So rather than have her ring the front doorbell and my husband has no idea what she's talking about and the dog barking like crazy, I'm going to end for today. Anybody have any last minute things they have to say?
Get off your ass and go to work. I mean, it's that simple. It really is.
And somebody said, that we have to come up with taglines, Steve, you and I. And I had talked about doing this show a long time ago with another lady, and we talked about sort of helping other women. A lot of times women tear other women down. So at that time we talked about giving a sister a step up. So that's going to be my tagline.
Okay. What you talking about, Willis?
Today. What you talking about, Willis?
Has that been taken?
No, but you got to kind of say it like this. What you talking about, Willis?
No, you do it better than I do. I can't.
Well, thanks, guys, for hanging out with me today. And hopefully Scott is driving like his regular crazy and we'll get there quick. All right. We'll see everybody Thursday, maybe on Scott's channel. Who knows what the heck will maybe come around if he's not on.
It'll be on one of our channels for sure, I'm sure.
Not mine.
Actually, Thursday, I think we might be traveling, so I'm not sure yet, but we'll see.
All right. I will talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.